All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board for the board. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 87 of the KissFAQ podcast. I'm your host today, Julian Gill, and joining me on the panel are, well, it looks like a bunch of usual suspects. Ken, 69th Blizzard, Lonnie, St. Louis Kiss. Thank you for all the pain you've just gone through, by the way. And Marcus Almighty, Mark. Sometimes it's a struggle, but we're glad that you're here and going to be a part of the conversation. So I think let's just do some news quickly. New Kiss magazine is coming out. That's been put together by Keith and the gang, and it looks to be interesting. I've ordered my copy so that hopefully I get a free Gene pick. And where's that? I think it's officialkissmagazine.com. Let me just double check that. Yeah, officialkissmagazine.com. Get your copy there. It looks like it's going to be interesting, so we'll see how that one compares to the previous Official Kiss magazine. But with it in those people's hands, I think it should be definitely worth its money. So we shall see. What else has happened recently? Oh, yeah, something came out on the 26th?
26th.
Kiss Rocks Vegas. And that's going to be the topic today. Obviously, I'm guilty of cheating on these guys and doing a show with Ken on the podcast. But you know what? Can't talk about this new release too little. It really is that enjoyable for me personally. I'm going to be more of a host today and just chime in with a couple of thoughts from a few additional viewings and listenings that I've had this week since I did the podcast recording with Ken and John. But let's jump straight into the topic, guys. Number one, everyone bought it, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I'll show
I
the
don't
proof.
know.
No.
I got mine right here.
Oh, there it is.
Good.
Yeah,
And
here's
Ken's got
the
part of
big
it.
one.
Part of it. Oh, yeah. Ken's got a big one.
We all three have different ones. We all three showed up different, held up
Yeah.
different versions.
You just
Where'd
can't.
you get that at? And yours came with like a koozie and some other crap. Where'd you
Well,
get that?
no. That's a Japanese one.
Oh, pardon.
That arrived.
Where'd you get the other one?
The original one I had that came with the koozie and the matches was from a local record store. So here's the matches, the matchbook, and the koozie, and yeah, they're giving that out, and plus a mini poster.
What that version
the cover. How much did that cost me? It was like $34.
Really?
And, yeah, it's the LP DVD one.
Yeah.
So
Similar to the one I have.
I was not planning on buying it, but when I saw that they were handing out some promotional items, I said, "Oh well, I'm gonna go get it," even though I have one coming from Japan.
You're a sucker just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
So I'm the only one who didn't hold up one. I did purchase the deluxe edition, which has the DVD, the Blu-ray, the acoustic CD, and the rest of the show on CD with the 60-page booklet, but that's sitting on the other side of the room, and I'm a fat bastard and can't be bothered to get up and go and get it.
Wow.
I also got the US vinyl edition, and that's also on the other side of the room, and I'm not going to go get that either. Because I'm not going to open it, so I've relied on people's pictures on the internet to see what the gatefold looks like. And then I think I bought the wrong version, and it's coming in from England tomorrow. I'd hoped to get the European vinyl, but I think I'm ending up with another deluxe edition from Europe, which will probably be in PAL, which I can't watch here. So, yeah, read the freaking page before clicking order.
Do you want me to show what came in that thing before we get really going?
Let's dig in, because the Japanese put out a bunch of editions, and the super duper ones, which are special order items on CD Japan, have a ton of really cool premiums in. So Ken, why don't you walk us through what came in that package, because it sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it was. I like it. It's a pretty cool package. Of course, I spent a good amount of money for it, but you know. I'm happy with it. So one of the first things, I guess limited things are with the package is a hoodie, a zip-up hoodie, okay? And here's the front of it. Right here, it has some. And in the back, let me get this so you can see it here.
That hoodie by itself was $80 at the show. I mean, so keep that in mind too.
Yeah, so that was the back. So,
very nice.
Yeah, and hey, and it fits. It came from Japan. Okay, so the other thing in it that was a extra item that came with it was these masks. They're
toxic masks.
Yeah, they're toxic, I guess. Yeah, if you put them on, they say don't put them on for more than 15 minutes, or your head will explode or something like that. I was like, or it's permanently tattooed or something.
You'll turn into Vinnie Vincent.
It said only use it once. That's the other little thing that.
Like a condom.
I'm not gonna use it.
Come on, put one on.
Facial condom.
Put one on. Come on.
Yeah.
Do it for the show. Come on.
Yeah, put it on my ass.
Totally a facial condom.
All right. So here's the box. So this is a nice box, and I'm gonna let's see what it actually says. Kiss Rocks Vegas, but I'm gonna I'll open this thing. It folds kind of like that. Open. All right. So one of the things there in the box that came with it is the book. Here's the.
Except that's its own book instead of being
hardbound,
any packaging.
Picture book.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Has, a lot of nice pictures in it, so it's cool. That's one thing. Next, we have, I think this is a kind of it's all in Japanese writing. It's explaining, I think, what's in.
Like the insert, like a Japanese insert.
Yeah,
it's like the old
usual
Japanese
thing that you get.
Type thing. No lyrics, at least that I can tell.
Badly translated English there.
No English lyrics in here. And then we have another booklet. This is a small booklet, and it's a lot of pictures in there. Some of the same pictures that are in the on maybe those album shots on the sleeves of the album. I don't know if maybe the CD booklet had a whole bunch of stuff too, but that's a nice little.
That's cool.
That's very neat.
Booklet too, and then you got of course, the vinyl. Here's the vinyl, and it comes in extra with the extra plastic, the clear.
Yep. Polyvinyl.
Vinyl protector. Yeah. So that's that. The two of those.
I think though, Ken.
Yes, sir.
I think it's important though that you kind of mention what you mentioned earlier to us about it being probably a regular. Grand pressing.
I noticed. Yeah, I noticed. Oh, I didn't notice this all of a sudden. The vinyl seems. I have the U.S. version of the vinyl, which is 140 gram, and the vinyl for Japan seems a little bit lighter. So I think it's a standard.
120.
The old standard weight. Well, I guess 120, like Mark says, weight. Okay. And then we got the inside. Here's the.
Nice.
Yeah. Now the thing is, I didn't pick this up. This part is actually like it was sitting in there, cardboard, that has the CDs on it, So it has the. First we got the Blu-ray. And 3 CDs. CD1, half the show. CD2, the other half the show. And then the CD3 is the acoustic. All the acoustic unplugged stuff.
And those all have different CD prints to the the US version.
The US version,
yeah. That's one thing that bugs me. Why on earth would you split such a short show onto 2 CDs?
Yeah, why is it on 2?
Yeah.
That's really strange.
That destroys
so I didn't notice underneath that where the CDs were that, I just lifted it up. So it has pictures in the background, both sides of this box. So.
Oh, very nice.
This gatefold box. It's so that's it. I mean, I don't know. I like it.
So let's just talk about packaging quickly, guys, on each version that you guys got. Happy with the packaging? I'll jump in immediately and say I love the front cover picture until I actually saw someone post one on Facebook of an alternative shot, and his blew what was used as the cover away. It was pretty much the same dynamic, the same sort of sequence, but just a better saturation of fire. Unfortunately, Tommy wasn't in the frame, so they would have had to Photoshop him in, but Matt, who took the photo, absolutely stunning. I thought the packaging was great on the deluxe edition with the 4 discs, 2 on the front, 2 on the back, and the booklet. Excellent. Lonnie, on yours.
Yeah. I got the deluxe edition on the way, so I had to do some pleading to order the deluxe version also, but you guys know how that goes. So I have the standard right now, and I like it. I like the fact too, and we talked about this before it come out, that I want a version that I could line up with my other Kiss CDs. You know what I mean? Being a completionist, that's important to me, that I can still line them up in sequential order. So I wanted to get this one no matter what anyway. So it's cool. It's a kind of version Julian really likes. It can get beat up in that because it's not in a jewel case. Julian really likes the digipack, so here it is. And it opens up. And it has the CD and the Blu-ray, and the packaging is really great, and it has the booklet in there. I would assume that the booklet that comes with like the deluxe edition, like I said, I haven't gotten mine yet, but is just like an expanded version of this booklet, from what I've seen online anyway. So
that looks like a small version of the big one, that big booklet that I showed.
That's what I'm thinking. It's just like a condensed version of it. It looks like it looks like a tour book, basically. From the photos inside look like photos that would be included in a tour book, more than anything else, in my opinion. But it's really. I think for a CD DVD package, I don't think you can get much of a nicer package as far as that goes, especially with the way most CDs are just cheaply packaged today, because people just don't buy them. So I was really happy with it. It looks really nice. It like I said, it was important to me that I can get at least one version that fits in with my other Kiss CDs. So I was really happy with it. I think it's first class all the way.
Cool. Mark, what about you?
Well, I got as I was showing earlier, I got the vinyl version, right? And it's like the one I'm sure everybody else is already familiar with, the triple opening thing. I love it, much to everyone's surprise from my history on this show about me constantly knocking everything about Kiss. But I'm going to say this. I really like this. I think they did a great job. I'm going to give thumbs down, though, to my local HMV, who suck, because they...
my word.
I ordered this from Amazon. They delivered it to me on a Sunday, which I was totally shocked, because mail never gets delivered here on Sundays. But it came to me. I was happy, and I was going to go get the Blu-ray, because I love Blu-rays, and I always go and grab those. And I go to my HMV, and I looked at them and said, "Do you have the Blu-ray version of Kiss Rocks Vegas?" And they're like, "We did, but we don't have anymore." I go, "How many did you order?" 2. They had ordered a grand total of 2 for the store. So I'm like, okay, you guys are idiots. So I'm going to have to order it now separately. But my only reason why I wanted to buy the Blu-ray, besides the fact that I like Blu-ray, is that my only qualm with this packaging is where this DVD is in here. It's right in the middle, There's like a little holder thingy right in that middle there. Now, it's cool. I'm not going to say it's a bad design, but when I take it out, when I'm done watching it, I have to put it back in there and go downstairs and put it into it's such a hassle. And I don't want to leave the DVD out just laying on the table. I want an actual physical, at least a cardboard sleeve or something. If they would have did something that you could, keep it in and then put that cardboard sleeve in the little slot there, I think would have been a better idea than just have just the DVD in there. Now, what am I going to do with that? I have to take the vinyl out. I think that's the only oversight they did, but the rest of it is A-OK primo to me.
God damn it, they're so inconsiderate. Bastards.
Really inconvenience.
As for HMV, I miss HMV. We used to have one in San Francisco. Or was it Virgin? No, it was Virgin. Okay, whatever. Okay.
Virgin, yeah.
Okay, let's start with Unplugged, that section. While we talk about the music, I think one of the things I've noticed listening to it a few more times during the week is the sonic fidelity is obviously not quite what was done for the recording of MTV Unplugged in 1996, and nor is it supposed to be 1995 for those who just want to be absolutely precise, but it was released in 96 or something like that. Whatever. So, it really gives you... And I said this on the podcast episode. It really makes you feel like you were there because it's not glorified in any way. It's straightforward. What are you guys' take on the acoustic section, which is, I guess, the bonus on the DVD and only comes as a CD for the certain editions? Lonnie,
I liked it. It's like you said, it's really kind of casual as opposed to watching, MTV Unplugged. Like you said, it kind of gives you a feeling that you're in the audience almost with the band. As far as song selection goes, those have really become almost as predictable, and I don't want to turn this into a setlist conversation, but those acoustic sets before the show really become almost as predictable as the setlist itself, with Coming Home and Plastercaster and Beth and Going Blind and Christine 16. They were originally set up to be like, oh, we'll play whatever just take requests and we'll play whatever you want. Yeah, but someone say Christine 16? Okay, yeah, Christine 16. So, it's really become almost predictable as a set, like I said. But it's filmed very well, giving you like a feeling like you're there. And it's not as crisp and it's as MTV Unplugged, but it's not like you said, it's not supposed to be as crisp as MTV Unplugged. It's supposed to give you like the impromptu type feeling. Whereas MTV Unplugged is really, more of a, I don't want to say it was more of a planned out set list because I think this one was very planned out as well, but just to kind of give you more of a casual feeling, I guess.
Yeah. So one of the cool things is, I guess, that you get Hard Luck Woman, Christine 16, and Love Her All I Can, which weren't on the original.
Songs that weren't on there.
Yeah.
Correct, and you get Eric singing Beth. So, that's another show though. So, it's cool. It's, like I said, I haven't gotten my deluxe version yet, and I'm anxious to get that, to have it on CD as well, just for the audio. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm like, how often am I going to go back and listen just to that audio? Probably not more than a couple times after I get it, in all honesty. Because if I want to hear Acoustic Kiss, I'm not going to say, oh, let's listen to that acoustic set from Vegas. Well, no, I'm going to go listen to Kiss MTV Unplugged. But I haven't gotten it yet, so I can't really say that. But more than likely, I can, just knowing myself, I know myself and my habits. So,
Mark,
what about you guys?
Before I go to you, Mark, I just want to mention that the acoustic set list done at the meet and greet the other night was Coming Home, Going Blind, Hide Your Heart, Christine 16, Got to Choose, and Beth. So that was what was done at the meet and greet in Erie, Pennsylvania. So, Mark, what's your take on the acoustic set?
Well, I liked it. There's two things that were kind of very important to me about watching this that I noticed. Number one is that I don't think I can recall seeing Paul Stanley so jovial and happy on a recording as I did in that. And it kind of rings to me that I think right now the band is at its most stable that it's ever been as far as a lineup goes. And I mean, this is something important to point out because people always say, oh, why don't they bring this guy back or that guy back? That video there should be a total evidence to you people why they're not going to ever bring those guys back, because they're having fun, they're having a good time, they like being in each other's company, and you can tell it when they're doing this kind of an acoustic set, right? And I mean, Eric and Tommy have more than cemented their place in this band now. They're excellent, they're very good live in every capacity, electric, acoustic, interviews, they do their job well. They're here permanently, deal with it, they're here, okay? But one thing that I did notice that's a bit different about the MTV version is that I noticed amplifiers again, which is a no-no usually in acoustic performances. I noticed the little Marshall amps there, and if you notice, on a couple of songs, namely Christine 16 and Love Her All I Can, he threw on some distortion on his acoustic guitar there a little bit on the solos. You're not supposed to do that on acoustic guitar performances. And another thing that I think was happening was, see this? This is
violated Mark's rules.
This is an Ampeg DI box, which is used for a bass guitar. You plug your bass into this, and you get an XLR out, and it goes straight to the mixing board, and it replicates the sound of an Ampeg stack, a bass amp, right? Now that I have no problem with having, because you can it's not like he's using an amplifier. This is like a mock amplifier. And for Gene, I mean, in these situations it's hard to mic a bass and get it sound good, so I understand doing that. But acoustic guitars are pretty bright, they have microphones. Why they needed to use Marshall amps for this, I don't know. It didn't sound terrible or nothing. I think overall they played well. Also it's important to note that I think Paul Stanley's singing is really good on this. I think he's found his range now, knows what he can and can't do, and he's starting to perform really well because of that. And keep in mind too, this is 2012, so it's not like this is now. Like, this is back then 2014, sorry. And this is before now, obviously, so even back then I think he was starting to figure things out a bit for performance wise, right? So, but overall I don't have a problem with it. The set list didn't bug me. It's just what it was asked once before, what songs do we think work and don't work for Unplugged? For me, songs like Christine 16 I think don't work, just for the fact that it needs a little bit of a distorted sound, and that's why I think they slapped on some of these overdriven tones on Tommy's acoustic guitar, because it kind of sounds odd doing some of the lines simply acoustic, right? I think that's, and they were doing that back in the convention days too. I think I brought that up a long time ago too, that they were doing those kind of things. But other than that, I think the performance was good. I was happy with it, and I don't really have too much of a problem with it, other than what I just brought up.
So I'll answer your question. Why did they have Marshall amps? Because they're Kiss.
Yeah, but for acoustic,
they do what they want.
They didn't, a little bit of amplification. Let's talk musically. A little bit of amplification makes the performance a bit more forgiving on your fretting, so you can be a little bit more, shall we say, fluid, for a polite way of saying lazy or messy, and you get away with it more with amplification than you would with the pure tonality of a pure acoustic set.
Yeah.
So,
But I keep referring back to MTV Unplugged. They didn't do it then. They didn't have to do it then, and look at how great that turned out.
Well,
that's MTV rules, though.
Yeah. That's a gold standard. But I think for a lot of that, you also, had Bruce. So, different sort
Just
of.
Just shot at Tommy from out of nowhere.
No, not by any means, and I hope no one takes it that way, because Tommy's a different sort of guitarist than Bruce is, and Bruce is so incredibly precise that.
What though? Sorry, I don't want to cut you off. Just before I forget, speaking of pot shot at Tommy, if anybody caught Podcast Rock City this week, they had Bruce Kulick on the show, and he actually did a pot shot at Tommy on the air, where he mentioned that they were talking about guitar solos, and he said that to this day Tommy Thayer still doesn't play the solo for Forever correctly, and that he knows where I live and he should come and let me show him how to do it properly. So I thought that was interesting that he kind of threw a little grenade at him there,
the back and forth would just be too easy, that Tommy could just sit there and say, well, I'm playing on Kiss's stage tonight. I'll play it how I want to.
I'm playing on Kiss's stage tonight. Where's Grand Funk playing tonight?
So Bruce is a classy guy, and I know that wasn't really meant as a dig, just an observation, because Bruce doesn't really get into any of that sort of drama that surrounds a lot of the interaction between members, past and present. Ken, let's go straight over to you.
Yeah, so the acoustic performance is better than I was expecting. I thoroughly enjoyed it, really, because after seeing those things on YouTube, it's quite a difference from those things we see. So, I enjoyed the whole thing. It left me wanting more. So, in your questions before, we've talked about, Julian, you've talked about Unplugged 2 kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean, boy, they should. I would love to hear them do that, And again, no pun intended, but Kiss is missing the boat on the Kiss Cruise performances, where they're, doing that acoustic show there, Sail Away show, and they could be. I'm sure they've recorded it all. Put it out in a nice package. Same company, Kiss Cruise. The best of the Kiss Cruise or whatever.
You had to go there because that's just going to set off a tangent that there should have been a Kiss Cruise 1 DVD.
You just hijacked the whole episode.
If they were broadcasting that throughout the ship to the viewing deck,
there was obviously video of it.
It should have been released. Kiss Cruise 2. I mean, just imagine there are 3,000 people getting off that boat. Here's your commemorative, your gold one. We'll sell it to everyone else as well. Oh my God.
They'd still have to sell it to the people on the cruise too. They just wouldn't hand them out. Come on.
Well, you never know. They did hand out that 12-inch single last time, so
that's true.
Sorry,
but
guys,
continue. But it is Kiss at the end of the day, though. Come on.
So the acoustic stuff, again, I love it. I liked. I'm glad they did Going Blind because I always love that acoustic. Every time I hear it, from the Unplugged, any Unplugged performance of that is always good for me.
So let's get into the main show, and obviously I've already kind of said on the podcast that it was a great show for me to be able to relive something that I was fortunate enough to participate in. I feel the same way when I see the Dodger Stadium show on Kissology, because obviously any show that you're there that gets an official release, even though I wasn't at this particular show, as the first one of the Vegas shows, you feel a part of it in a special way, even if you don't get to see yourself on video. So that's my overall impression, is that I was there, I'm getting to relive it, and I'm judging this by my perceptions that night. And this is pretty damn close. Yeah, and in some ways far superior to having been there. The little enhancements that they have made the whole experience of viewing the proper Vegas show more pleasurable in many ways. And the definition in which it's shot, you're getting to see many details that you don't see from your position on the floor, or maybe if you had a seat up on one of the balcony levels. It really does pull you in. I was watching the Blu-ray today. First time I put the Blu-ray in because I was watching the iTunes version prior to that. And it's just stunningly appealing. The colors are vibrant. They did a fantastic job with the staging. The lasers and all that are just incredible, and it looks and feels better than it did in person for me that night. What's your impression of the show visually? I guess your overall opinion of that, and then we'll get a little bit more specific. Ken, straight back to you on there.
Yeah, well, first of all, I wasn't in Vegas, so I didn't have that experience like you, but I did go to the movie showing of it, and that was kind of like being there in concert on the big screen. Is pretty cool. But when I was watching that, I remember the picture quality just didn't seem HD to me. It just seemed a little blurry, right, in the movie theater. So it was the way it was filmed, I guess. So now I had the DVD first with the LP, so I had watched some of that. And it was better quality than the movie theater version. But then I put on the Blu-ray today, and that's even. I mean, that is
stunning.
That looks better over the DVD, and I was like, wow, that's really good picture. I mean, it's the best quality, I would say, concert DVD that's Kiss has ever done. It's better than all the Symphony and the Rock the Nation and that stuff. It kills that stuff. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the whole staging, the way they shot it, the colors, like you said, are so vibrant, and it just looks great on a big TV. So,
Lonnie, how about you?
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I went to Vegas and went to two of the shows out there, and that was one of the ways I was able to convince my wife that we need to get the bonus Amazon version. It's like, oh, it's a good souvenir from us going out there. So, it was a few months after we got married. It's really big. Okay, fine, just get it and shut up. So, yeah, more than anything, I think it was just get it so you stop pestering me about it.
Yep.
Trying to justify your cause. So, because you already have it. You already have to have two versions of it. Well, Anyway, I enjoyed it because, like Julian said, it's a good souvenir from being out there, and it's a good memory of those shows that I saw out there because, because they were so unique, seeing them in that type of venue with Kiss fans, all just really hardcore Kiss fans, in my opinion, out there. Almost to the extent like you would see on a cruise. Granted, there were several people seeing them there for the first time. Paul did his standard, who's seeing this for the first time, and people, raise their hand. But there were a lot of hardcore Kiss fans there, so it was really cool to be around and just, hang out with before the show, hang out with after the show, and just chat about the band. But like you were saying about the Blu-ray, Ken, it literally leaps off the screen at you. The picture quality is so vibrant that it is almost, like I was saying, it's like a souvenir. It is almost like being there. It's so crisp. And I agree with you too. I went and saw it in the theater, and there were several frames and several images, like they go to the whole screenshot in the theater, and it just didn't look as crisp as some of the other shots. I'm like, how did they shoot this? I guess it just didn't hold up as well in the theater as it does on your Blu-ray, even on your big screen television at home. It just leaps off my screen on my TV. It's just absolutely fantastic the way it's shot. And like Julian was saying too about the details of it, it's really like you're on. Not only do you feel like you're up close, you're almost like on stage with them. The picture quality is so insanely good. So it's a really fun thing to watch. I've watched it a couple times already, and it's a great souvenir just sitting there watching it. So I can't say enough good things about it.
One thing I'll say is that watching Gene's Gotta Thunder, blood drooling, fly to the rafters in high definition was freaking cool. I've been front row and seen it, but it was just so cool to see that on the Blu-ray and just the resolution of that. Mark, what's your take on how it looked and I guess the overall quality of the show video-wise?
Well, I really liked it. I mean, honestly, I'd have a tendency of always not trying to find little things to complain about, but it just seems to happen for some reason. But something always seems to stick out for some reason. But honestly,
just really grinds your gears for some reason.
Yeah, but honestly, I think this show was excellent. I mean, the filming of it was really well done. I think more importantly, I think that they started listening to some of the fans where they were saying, some of the edits were too quick in the past ones. I think they really toned that down and made it a much more enjoyable watch overall in that sense. Mm-hmm. I think some of the angles were really excellent that they did for some of this stuff, like when they did Gene's fire breathing and stuff like that. There was some really great angles that they used for stuff like that. The pyro in Detroit Rock City was just unbelievable at the beginning. For some reason, it kind of took me by surprise. I mean, I did see it at the theater, and I guess the difference from the theater, much like Ken, I wasn't really overwhelmed too much with the theater version of it because, again, it was kind of grainy as well when I saw it there. And more importantly, I'm really an audio kind of guy, and the audio at these theaters, these guys who are running it, I've sometimes imagined the 17-year-old kid on the summer holidays doing his job as a projectionist there, and he's just setting these audio things just so wrong on some of these things. It farts a lot, and it just sounded really odd in the theater when I saw it. But at home, you have your stereo set the way you like and everything, and listening to it here was just phenomenal. I mean, I set all my things to how I like it, and set it for high definition audio and stuff like that, and they did a great job with this. I can't say enough good things this time about a Kiss release. They really did something good here this time, and more importantly for me, I found that there was a vibe with this show that was missing in some of the other ones. Like, it almost makes me think back to like Cobo Hall and stuff like that. When I first watched those shows on video, I was like, wow, there's a feeling and a vibe to it, and I think they captured that in this show. When you watch it, it's something you can't put your finger on specifically what it is that makes it so cool, but just everything about it really emanates a really great viewing experience for me. The sound of it is really great. I can't, say enough good things about, Tommy Thayer, who was producer, I think, of this overall. And I think Greg Collins was the one who did the audio mixing on it, I think, for this. So, hats off to him. He did a really good job on that this time. And my only little thing that I just wanted to point out was Gene's bass tone. It's good, it's there, but sometimes I found it got just a little buried. If they would have just gave him just a hair more mid-range in his bass sound, it would have been excellent. It's still great, don't get me wrong, just a little thing. And sometimes I found that Eric's backing vocals was a little quiet in the mix. I would have loved him to be a little louder in the mix, and that's it, really. I mean, other than that, I think everything about it was excellent. I loved Black Diamond, how he was out on that walkway there with the disco ball, and it's just the feeling I got watching this is something that I hadn't had in a long, long time watching a Kiss, concert. And hats off to them. This is going to be probably my go-to video now for the next little while. And Stewie, stop getting in my face here. So, so other than that, I have nothing bad to say about this. This is a great, concert experience, and I highly, highly recommend it.
Yeah, you know what? I was just thinking. Sorry, Julian. If you compare this to the, that Zurich's Switzerland one that they had on TV. It was like on Axis television. That one. What a difference! I mean, what a difference between that. Even though it had like a spider stage, it's just. It blows that performance out of the water completely.
Oh, by far. I mean, you'd have to go to Rock am Ring to get those nice fisheye lens, up angles. I mean, I said on the podcast, one of the scenes that really, I thought was stunning was when Gene's done with his fire breathing. He's just sitting there, arms, and the camera's looking up at him, fisheye. And, it's just so visually appealing.
Absolutely. That one that was on Access a few years ago, it's almost unwatchable. It's really bad. And you Mark talked about how there's a certain vibe to it. That one really seemed like they were just going through the motions that night. And it, just really, and it felt like the whole set list just kind of plodded along. And it was just like, wow. Like almost like maybe it's time to call it a day. But when you watch this, it really gets you fired up watching it. Really, it makes you want to go see them, and makes you want to watch it again. Just watching it one time. So, there maybe something happened in the band between. Obviously there wasn't a personnel change or anything like that, but maybe something sparked within them. I think between that 2000, I guess it was 13 with that show, as you were talking about, that was on Access, and that happened in late 14. But, obviously there wasn't an album that came out or anything like that. But you could definitely tell a different change of attitude or some kind of spark within the band from that performance just a year or so earlier.
Mm-hmm. If I could guess about that, I would think that there was a few things that was maybe bothering them. I mean, number one, I heard that there was lots of technical issues with that whole spider stage, number one. I mean, that could have probably been looming in their head. Is it going to work tonight? Are we going to get stuck? What's going to happen? You know what I mean? With this thing. So that never puts you in a good frame of mind in a concert setting. Number two, I mean, Paul was getting real heat during this part of the tour for his vocals. I mean, that must not have been keeping him in a good frame of mind either. So I'm guessing that about now, or around the time of this, maybe things started getting more worked out, more smoothened out. They were happy with things. Paul was figuring out things. So the whole mindset, I think, of the band was much better. I think back then, there were so many things up in the air and so many things to worry about. It probably showed in that show.
Yeah, it was a challenge without a doubt, but I'd forgotten all about that Axis show, and it's
easy to forget.
Yeah, no, that is just something that you do want to forget. It was dreadful. I mean, it was also like that one that they streamed, the U.S. show, around the same time that got streamed live, Charlotte, I think, or something. It just dreadful, did not work. There was like, like Mark said, no vibe going with the band. But he said something about the instruments, and that was one of the things that I wanted to touch on. We'll get into, songs that we think they nailed and whatnot. One thing I noticed on this is that the separation of sound is really good, the definition. And I loved, actually, I'm not a big fan of Psycho Circus, the song. I thoroughly enjoyed this performance. I got to hear Gene's bass and hear his bass runs in that song. And I was like, oh, that's really groovy. I was kind of focusing in on that. I was able to. And there's a couple of songs on there that you really get to hear Gene working. And he's a better bassist, I think, than he gives himself credit for. He's solid. He does his thing.
Yeah.
Is he a creative bassist? No. He's a good meat and potatoes sort of guy, and he just is solid in the background. I mean, he's like Malcolm Young with a bass. He does exactly what he's supposed to with his bass lines so that Paul and Tommy can do their thing. So I was really impressed with that. Excuse me, got an itch. And, it really made... It felt like a new discovery, really. It made me appreciate Gene's performance and what he does and what he contributes musically more than just the tongue-flicking monster. He's actually doing something up there with that axe rather than, not doing anything. So that was kind of weird. Let's get into, what do you think they really nail in this set list? What are the songs that you think they really bring that like what I said. Ken.
Well, I think they nailed pretty good our Parasite. I thought that was really great performance of that one. I really enjoyed that. Like I said, Psycho Circus, that was really good too on that. I still never... Creatures of the Night just doesn't work to me as far as the vocals that I'm used to live from the good old days when he used to be able to really pump out his vocal on that one. So that one just doesn't. It's okay. It's good. Definitely musically, it's fantastic. Otherwise, let's see what else. Even Hail or Hallelujah. That rock's pretty darn good, and it's become a classic, a Kiss classic now. I think it's been enough years, and it is a classic. In my mind,
let's not go down that.
In my mind, it is. I like it. I don't know. I like the song, and of course, always Black Diamond. I mean, it's pretty much my favorite Kiss song, anyway. So, and it was done well as usual, with the vocals of, Eric Singer on that one. So those are I think those would be the ones that stand out for me.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on Parasite now. I don't know if I was all the way there at the weekend, but after watching and listening a few more times, that one is jumping out at me every time I listen to this show. It is absolutely a fantastic performance, I think. Also, I'm going to agree with you on Black Diamond. Absolutely fantastic. One thing I am going to criticize is Creatures of the Night, and it all comes down to Tommy's solo on there. He's not capturing, and I don't know why. I mean, I see what he's doing, I see what he's trying to do, and it's just not coming across for me. So I don't get it. I'm also thrilled with Tears Are Falling. I like how that translates now into the way Paul sings it. But Mark.
Oh, sorry, I had an itch on my nose there for a minute. Sorry.
You looked like you had a lemon up your nose.
Now, before you go, Mark, remember, it's songs you liked, not songs you didn't like.
Yes.
Oh, is it my turn? Okay. Honestly, I liked pretty much the whole thing. I mean, right from the very beginning, I thought Detroit Rock City was fantastic. Creatures, I agree with you guys. I have a bit of issue with it. Number one, it really seems drop-tuned, like noticeably drop-tuned than the original. And Julian's mentioning that, the solo is far from anything distinguishable from the original, which is true, but I have two words to say why. Whammy bar. There's no whammy bar on his guitar. Bruce Kulick, when he played it on a Live 3, it was fantastic. Why? He had a whammy bar. And so did Vinnie Vincent when he did it, and that's what's missing in it. And, I think that, Tommy must own a guitar like that, and maybe it's his one-sided ace tendencies that make him not want to use it. But, I think that if he did, it would be much better. And Parasite, incredible. I love it. It's great. Like I said, like Black Diamond is great. Like everything on this show, I think they performed really, really well. Even a song like God of Thunder, which I had so checked out on a long time ago, I really thought they did it well. It was heavy. It came out well. I mean, that has also everything to do with the fact that the audio was so well done, whether it was in its digital 96K 24-bit format that's on for Blu-ray and for DVD, or whether it's the very well version that they did and mastered for vinyl, which vinyl I thought it turned out really good too. I mean, with vinyl I just found you had to crank the album a bit loud on your stereo to get the real good experience on it. But obviously digital medium is going to give you the more clarity, is going to give you the more accurate reproduction. I love vinyl. Vinyl still has the warmth to it, but that's for another segment as well. But the songs are really good. The only song besides Creatures that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and for a similar reason, was Tears Are Falling. I mean, I found that song also seemed a little down in pitch, and I understand why. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. Paul has to have a range to sing it, obviously, but I am just so used to that version, that they do when they have that little whammy bar tap thing that they do in the choruses. When they do the little thing with the bar there, and it's missing. And every time I hear it and it's not there, it just bugs me. Call me, a nitpicking guitarist or whatever. But the fact that that's not there just makes me want to go, oh.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills or something.
Exactly. What's going on? What's wrong with this world? I don't know. To me, it just seems like such a minor thing to do to fix that. Just give Tommy a guitar for one or two songs with a whammy bar on it, and all's good. And that's it.
You know what? I'm just thinking now. Someone send Tommy a Washburn AF40.
Mark's putting in his application to be Tommy's new guitar tech. Guitar.
Yeah.
I'd set him up, no problem. No problem.
Use this guitar.
Here's a whammy bar.
Other than that, I think he did a great job. I mean, I think he played the songs well. Him and Paul together have a good rapport on stage now, and you can really tell that Paul is leaning on Tommy now, and he's enjoying it. It seems because now he goes and he can do all these guitar between the legs and all those classic things that he was doing before, and not feel worried that someone's gonna blunder it and leave him hanging. Like back in the time when they were having trouble again with Ace and that. He probably was more worried about getting through a show and tapping his feet and keeping everybody together, and couldn't really focus as much on all his little fun things that he was doing. Even in the acoustic set, I clearly saw Paul stop playing for a section of a song and just, grimace to the crowd and do stuff because he knew that Tommy was going to cover for him. And that's what a good complimentary guitar player does. It's like KK and Glenn Tipton. It's like, John Lennon and George Harrison. They know how to fill in each other's roles and to help each other out live. And that's exactly what Tommy and Paul are like now.
Yeah, it's not just a lead guitarist, it's a guitarist. He's doing lead, he's hopping in on rhythm where needed, he's doing whatever's required, and he's doing a fantastic job. I mean, one thing I did notice with Tommy is he's confident and competent. He's just there. I mean, he's rock solid as a player. Everyone can have an opinion on whether he's, nailing Ace's tone or whether he's robotic or whatever, depending on your level. But he's just there. He's just doing it. He brings it to the show, and he's got Paul's back. So that makes him, incredibly important to the band. And this whole show, this whole Kiss Rocks Vegas thing, I think is turning a lot of people into fanboys because we're all, I think, appreciating so many of the positives in the show and in the package and in the whole thing. rather than nitpicking, the little meaningless things, and it's really refreshing.
Whammy bars.
Yeah, well, that's a fair technical appraisal of a performance trait. So that's not good.
It is minor. I agree. It is minor, but I mean, from a guitar player's perspective, it's just one of those things that you notice. It's like if Andrew Scambatti was on here and you were to talk to him about maybe some of the drum playing on there, maybe he might find a drum fill that Eric missed or something, and he would bring it up. It's not that it's bad. It's just that because we're so used to the songs and the performances, it just jumps out at us when we hear it. And it's not just Kiss. It's with Rush, with Genesis, with any band I listen to. It's like that, unfortunately.
Man, you must be fun at parties.
He's a delight.
Hey, Mark, come over and watch The Song Remains the Same. Oh, wait, yeah. No, and that's
that really bugs me.
And that's why your contributions are so excellent for the show, Mark, because you do bring the musician's ear to the stuff. So, Lonnie, did you do your favorite songs? And if not,
I did not.
Do yours, and then I want you to lead us into the misfire songs that you think
Mark already did his.
Yeah, so. He's done.
My standouts. I'm going to agree with you guys on Parasite. I can't get enough of that right now. I almost put the CD in my car and just go to that right now. I'm just like, I'm hooked on that. Like, I've always loved that song, but it's like re-energized me in that song. You just can't get enough of it right now. That and War Machine, I think you guys didn't mention War Machine, but I thought War Machine sounded really good on there, and it's excellent to have an official live version of that song by this lineup because they've played it. I don't want to say they've played it to death, but they've played it quite a bit since this version of the band proper has come into existence in 2004. They've really, really played this quite a bit, going back to Rock the Nation. So it's really become a standard with this lineup. But and Black Diamond as well. I think the band, Tommy's solos and Eric's vocals and the whole song just sounds phenomenal. It's right up there with, and maybe it's blasphemy, but it's almost right up there with the Alive version to me. It really just sounds crisp and precise and really stands out to me. And it's a standout song on a standout CD or Blu-ray, for that matter. It's a standout of the standout. So those three songs for me really, really stand out. As far as the songs that might fall short, in my opinion, I am going to agree with you on Creatures of the Night. As much as I was excited to go out to Vegas and knowing that Creatures was in the set list, and I think before they did the Vegas shows, they did like 2 shows in Mexico, or a show in Mexico, and then they did the cruise, and then they went to Vegas. And they started playing Creatures at one of those Mexican shows before the cruise. And I was just like, oh, just keep that in the set list. Just keep that in the set list for when I go to Vegas, because I want to hear that live. I want to hear that live. I haven't heard that live ever, because I haven't played it live in an electric setting since '92. So going out there and seeing it, it was my favorite song that night, seeing it. But when I listen to it now, and I'm not stuck in just fanboy mode, like, oh my God, they're playing Creatures of the Night. Like, can you believe this, honey? They're playing Creatures of the Night. And you're like, leave me alone. But listening to it now, it's like, oh, it does, as much as it pains me, it does fall a little short of the mark for me, especially in the solo mark. So much as I give you trouble, I do agree with you on that. I just give you trouble. And if we weren't friends, we wouldn't razz each other. We'd just sit there and not comment on what each other has to say.
Exactly.
So that does fall short for me, unfortunately. And I'm going to disagree with you guys. You guys said God of Thunder, but God of Thunder, and maybe it's just me, but I'm just burnt out on God of Thunder a little bit. And for me, as much as the Blood Drooling beforehand is really cool to watch on the Blu-ray, and really just makes you feel like you're in the front row, maybe even better than the front row. The song itself, I don't know. I just feel like I'm going through the motions when I listen to that song at this point. And one more would be, because it's in the same category, and that's I Love It Loud, because I just feel like I'm I'm going through. Maybe it's not the song or the performance, and maybe it's just me that I feel like I'm going through the motions when I listen to this especially I Love It Loud even more than God of Thunder. When I hear this version of the band play I Love It Loud, because like War Machine, they've played it to death, and they've played it every night since this version of the band's inception. And it's just like, all right, I get it. But, and not that they're bad songs, those two in particular, I Love It Loud and God of Thunder, I just feel like I'm burnt out on this version of the band playing those songs. And not that I want to turn this into a set list thing, but Creatures of the Night for me, I guess if there's one that really falls short, it's Creatures, just because I was so hyped up on it and I was excited to get this package because I wanted to hear Creatures, and it, unfortunately, it falls short of the mark for me.
So we're going to go into the set list anyway, and I don't want to go through all 16 songs, but when we look at this set list, we look at what they're doing now on the Freedom to Rock tour. Do you think they've finally made the case, or they've listened to the fans enough that it's basically 14 classics and a couple of medium or deeper cuts that are kind of the bone that they're lobbing out there to the people like me and the guys who do podcasts who complain vocally about the set being stale? And I think this set is absolutely brilliant in that it does marry all those classic songs with Creatures of the Night, Tears Are Falling, and in this case, Hell or Hallelujah as well for that, and Parasite,
and Parasite too, you know.
And
it's
what
not
they're,
like
you know, just like what they're doing now with Flaming Youth being that one key cut. You know, do you think the overall set list is a winner? You know, for a 16-song format, Mark?
Well, like I said, I didn't really have too much trouble with it this time. I mean, like I said, I think a lot of it has to do with what I kind of mentioned before, is that if they're firing well on all cylinders, and if they have a good vibe on stage together, and the vibe translates into the music, I think that the set list like this can be done and be enjoyed very much. I mean, like I said, for those things that we kind of just brought out, like the Creatures and the Tears Are Falling, or the God of Thunders, I mean, that's minor in the grand scheme of it. I mean, that's one song or two songs out of 16, right? I mean, there's been times when I'm sure we complain a hell of a lot more about set lists than just one or two songs. But, you know, I think a lot of it has to do with, I think at this point, they've probably figured out what works for them and what doesn't, more specifically for Paul, because I mean, if you're looking at it now, they are trying to space out the songs a little bit better so he doesn't have to do as much singing, I think, in a row, right? And also it's interesting to make note that there isn't as much in between song banter as there was in prior shows, right?
Hallelujah.
Which is going to save his voice doing that, because, you know, there's nothing worse than hearing him, like, I have that rock M ring, and there's nothing worse than hear him doing that, I got a feeling.
It's like, oh.
Yeah, and it's like, God, like, listen to your voice, dude, you're killing it, like, you know. And he's like, hold it, we got to remember Dio. You know, it's like, it's just, come on. Like, that was great that he did that, but it's smart now that he's figuring out that maybe I should keep my voice for the actual singing instead of his, you know, his biblical hallelujahs that he would do on stage there, right? So, but I think that the set list now is kind of, you know, worked out. Like, it's almost in their mind. They know now what works, what doesn't, what will appease them. Let's put in a couple of odd deep cuts, like he said. You know, who knows? Maybe the next turn, maybe they'll throw in like Sweet Pain or something. Maybe just something odd in there, just to make people go, wow. You know, and it's always going to seem to be, I think, one song. I think we can always kind of count on maybe one odd song being placed in. I don't expect like 3 or 4, you know, odd songs. I see these people who make these set lists on, you know, the border, like they should play Under the Rose and all this stuff. It's like, they're not going to do that kind of stuff, you know. They're going to just play the songs that they work and that they have worked throughout the years and that people kind of, you know, agree with, you know. But for me, I think the set list is good. I think they've worked it out. I think they kind of have a grip on it now.
Yeah, good point. Ken, how about you?
Yeah, well, this set list obviously is great for the Vegas shows, adding in extra. But yeah, on the tour now, I think they've kind of figured it out. What I think they can do, but maybe it's just a matter of they're getting too old, is extending the show a little bit longer, and to get those extra, you know, nuggets, I guess, of songs that the hardcore fans like into the show. If they can somehow get them in, I don't know, lengthen it. Maybe that could be done with less banter, like Mark is saying, less banter, and then you have maybe you don't need long solos of anything, really, to try to squeeze in some more music, more classics possibly. But yeah, it's better. Obviously, it's better than what we've seen, some years ago, where it was just the same set list over and over. Now they're actually considering, throwing in a Flaming Youth or whatever into the set, and hopefully maybe the next tour, it looks like they're going to continue next year, because they have already one show announced. So, maybe throw in a different one to replace Flaming Youth and do some other, hardly played song, from the past.
So one thing that surprises me with the set list on Vegas is I don't skip Lick It Up, which always surprises me. It's Lonnie, do you think that this is a perfectly balanced set list for Vegas? And
I think it is. I think it is a very balanced set list. I think they gave the fans, it caters to the casual fan, or the fan that's seeing Kiss for the first time, with opening with Detroit Rock City and closing with Rock and Roll All Night, and having Lick It Up, and I just criticize I Love It Loud, but having Lick It Up and I Love It Loud right smack in the middle, and with two songs that a casual fan knows, opening with a song that people really know, closing with a song people really know, and Shout It Out Loud as an encore as well. But at the same time, throwing in songs for people who traveled to Vegas, or people who are hardcore fans and have seen them, dozens and dozens of times, with Creatures of the Night, as I spoke about a little bit ago, with Parasite, with Tears Are Falling, three songs that you normally wouldn't get at a Kiss show. And going back to so I think the set list really works for what they were trying to do and playing for the audience that was in attendance. One thing I wish they would have done from going the two shows back to back, Friday and Saturday night, is maybe you play one different song Friday and Saturday night, just because a lot of the same people that were there Friday night are there Saturday night too. You can maybe play just one different song, because they had played like Plaster Caster down at those shows in Mexico before they went on the cruise, and that, like, oh, change out Parasite with Plaster Caster. That'd be really freaking cool. Because like the second night, my wife's like, she's like, just standing there. And I'm like, what's wrong? She's just, I'm bored. It's the same show we saw last night. I'm like, yeah, but it's still Kiss. And I'm like, whatever. But
yeah, they certainly could have, because at the show I went to on the 5th, they played Let Me Go Rock and Roll and I Was Made for Loving You. So
yeah, so I mean, it's
they
not
easily could have.
I mean, come on, it's in their repertoire. I mean, for a Friday and Saturday night show in the same city, switch up one song. But that's not. We're not here to criticize. We're not here to talk about just the Vegas shows. We're talking about the CD and the Blu-ray. But I think they figured it out, not only for these Vegas shows, but like you're saying, for the live show as well. Like on the tour they're doing now with playing Flaming Youth. Go back to 2014 when they were touring that summer, when they played Hide Your Heart in the middle of the show. They gave you a nugget, and on that tour with Def Leppard, just like they're giving fans that are going to see them now a nugget with Flaming Youth. So I think they really have come up with the formula to play the standards, but at the same time switch up the standards just a tad, like by throwing in Cold Gin if we haven't played that in a few years, or Strutter if we haven't played that in a few years, but still sticking with standards and throwing in just one gem for the tour. So, and I think, like you said, that there's that show that they already announced in Oklahoma for 2017. That who knows I don't know what their plans are. Are they going to come back to the States again and do A markets? I don't know, because they've played a lot of shows in the States this summer. Or are they going to go back to Europe and
Canada
or Canada? Pardon me, and continue with that formula and maybe throw in a a different gem, like Almost Human or something like that.
Under the
Who
Rose.
knows? No, I don't think so.
You started it. So Mark, when you look at the performances of each of the guys on the show, is there one of them that you think could be called the MVP of Kiss Rocks Vegas? Is there anyone who jumps out at you?
Yeah, there is, and I mean, well, I thought about this long and hard, and it was close between two people, and I have to give the slight edge though to Tommy. I think Tommy Thayer has really, stepped up his game. I think he's let all the naysaying slide off his back now, and he's just concentrating on playing and being a really good guitar player. I mean, as much as he's replicating the lines that Ace and the other guitar players have done, I'm starting to notice just an inkling of a little bit of his style coming into play now. You know what I mean? So that's good. I think that that's always something that a guitar player hopes for, that you can maybe show a little bit of your own personality within the music. And I think it's starting to show a teensy bit starting to come through. But more importantly, like I said before, I think that he's showing that what this band needs and has always needed was a team player, guitar player, and they have that now with him. They have somebody who can, cover up for Paul and who can sing really well too. I mean, there's been lots of times too where you've seen Paul dancing around and he didn't have to run back to the microphone to do some of the vocal harmonies because Eric and Tommy and Gene can do it. There's 3 competent voices that can do this now. So for me, I think that Tommy's really, stepped up his game. And the acoustic performance for me, I find that I watched that a lot. Since I've had it, I've watched the whole show, the whole DVD, probably like 7 times already, and I really enjoyed it every single time. And even the acoustic show, I thoroughly enjoy, and I think that he really does a great job on the acoustic show. I think and that's tough. I mean, anybody who plays guitar can tell you that it's a little bit tougher to play some of these songs on acoustic guitar or even classical guitar or whatever than it is on electric. It's less forgiving, right? So I think that he really did a great job. I mean, kudos to Eric Singer. He was a close second in this too, because, with his singing and his fantastic drumming. I mean, just his drumming that he did on like Love 'Em All I Can and the acoustic, those crazy drum fills on a acoustic performance was just unbelievable. It's like, wow, like he even let it go on something like that, so he has the fire, he has the drumming skills, they don't need to worry for a long time. There ain't going to be no slowed down tempos or drummers stopping in the middle of a song like in 79 or something like that, right? So
shout out Peter from I don't know.
Yeah. But I think that they're in good hands. I think that Kiss can go now as long as they want to because they have a good support system. So hats off to Tommy Thayer.
Oh, that's very nice. I'm going to give you mine, and it is Paul Stanley. Ringmaster has done the work to find out what works and is still the ultimate frontman, is still an engaging frontman, and I really like him as a guy who doesn't talk as much in between the songs now, because that was one of the things I really didn't care for. Now on this show, where you get sort of a condensed Paul Stanley, where he's talking where he needs to, he's doing and obviously there's some overdubs on this in the right places. It's not, I don't think it's overdubbed to hell. It sounds very organic, very, real. Explosions are enhanced, some vocals. You see him covering his microphone at times with his hand, which I'm sure are areas that, maybe were later, to mask.
Adjusted.
Yeah, maybe, that was just a marker of sorts. Maybe not. Maybe I'm conspiracy theorist in training. But I really feel he's worked hard to be able to put on a show like Kiss Rocks Vegas, and the fruits of that work are very evident in the performance being as enjoyable as it has been. And I think the positive comments made by us individually, or as a group, as members of the board, have been overwhelmingly positive towards it. So Paul, MVP, good work, excellent work. And I'd also say, nice of you to pick Tommy, because obviously those contributions are valuable. Lonnie, MVP for you.
Well, I thought about this, and I think I can narrow it down to 4 people right away.
Yeah, good.
So it's a 4-man race, but I think for me the winner is Eric Singer. I think he has he has stabilized his band with his drumming over the last, since 2004, since he came in as a permanent fixture again. And it's very evident on here how solid he still is. And this is 2014, how solid of a drummer he still is. And Eric's no spring chicken anymore either. I mean, Eric always got the shtick of being the baby in the band for a while, but he's come up in age quite a bit, and he is still just as solid and as steady as ever. And not only that, but his backing vocals on it are so good. His harmonizations are so great that just bring life into the choruses. So, you always hear that a band is only as good as its drummer, and they have one of the best drummers in the game, in my opinion, in Eric Singer. And he's always been phenomenal since he came on board with the band, and he's still phenomenal to this day. And he just brings life to these songs where, I mean, I'm not trying to compare him to other drummers, but I will say where life was missing from some of these songs for, periods of time. And they just sound, and I don't think they could sound any better. So for me, it's hands down Eric.
Ken.
So Ken, you have to say Gene.
Yep.
I'd love to say Gene, actually, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to say Gene. I mean, he's solid as usual. He's always solid, but I'm going to go with, even though he was missing a whammy bar, I'm going to pick Tommy Thayer. And it's because all the reasons that Mark said. I mean, and he's just so solid and holds his band together, and fills in when he needs to. Just doing all the right stuff. And for another reason is for producing the set. I mean, producing the video. And he's done a lot of the Kissology stuff in the past, and now this, and this is just top notch. I mean, he just did a fantastic job on the whole packaging video. I know someone, there's a lot of people involved in it, but he's going to be the overseer and probably the final, well, besides Paul and Gene, the sign off on it. But it's his vision, I think, on how the video should be, and the production of the music and everything else that goes along with it. So it's Tommy Thayer for sure. And then this one.
So what should be the next video release? Unplugged 2?
Cobo Hall 2009.
I don't think they're going to do it.
Did they film Monterey? They filmed Cobo
Pro
Hall.
Shot, Creatures of the Night.
Yeah, if only.
Right.
I think that probably has some whammy bar in it.
What about that?
Yeah.
What about that? What about that asylum footage that Tommy Thayer was talking about that they have the pro shot of? Why don't they release that finally?
Maybe Kissology 4 finally. I don't know.
Who knows? But if this is the entry into the world of Blu-ray, all I can say is I hope they film some other shows, because I don't think you can go back and do much of the Kissology, those shows, or the source material on Blu-ray. Maybe some of the old prints, maybe if anything got saved from Phantom, would be nice to see upscaled and done properly. But
and again, the Kiss Cruise stuff. I mean, they got a lot to draw from there.
Yeah,
so.
The unofficial stuff that was put together by fans.
Some of it's really good.
Is insanely good, and
I'm sure they had their own.
There's some patchy stuff in there, but there's also a lot of really good quality. It's just you'd love to see the band do it. All right, so I think the verdict for Kiss Rocks Vegas is overwhelmingly positive. Would that be a fair appraisal?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm gonna watch it again tomorrow. Damn it, and then just enjoy this while it lasts, because it's
wow.
I didn't feel this way over Kissology because we'd seen most of that stuff, so. It's a very well done job, and kudos to the band for doing it. And it's really nice to hear the majority of people happy for a change.
Huh.
Yeah.
Enjoy. I think we'll enjoy that while it lasts. So, unless anyone has any final thoughts or comments, I think we can call this one a wrap.
Just one last little thing, just quickly. You did mention just really quickly about the fact that there are overdubs, and I just want to make a point that while there are little overdubbings that were done vocally on here, this is a great example of how not to overdo it and keep the vibe of the show, and it sounds excellent. What was fixed, I think, had to be fixed, just more from technical stance, I think. But other than that, this is a great show, and there are still warts and all on it. So it's not about the warts, it's about the vibe, and I think it's great.
Yep, and it comes across. So that's the podcast view on the show. Why don't you come over to the board or find the topic on Facebook and on YouTube and give us your thoughts on the questions that we've asked about Kiss Rocks Vegas today. Obviously, everyone's got their own ears and brain, so we'd love to hear your opinions and also on some of the other topics we've touched on. So we thank you for listening today. From Ken, from Lonnie, Mark, and myself, we will see you next time. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.